Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we jumped the shark in strength. Jotaro and the gang found a freighter ship, but it didn't seem to have a crew, but it had a giant orangutan on it, and then the girl went to go take a shower, and then the orangutan perved out on her. But luckily, Jotaro was there to save her and beat the monkey. He beat his monkey, basically. And then it turns out the monkey had a stand. Not only did he have a stand, his stand was a boat. It was the freighter itself. And then Jotaro beat him, and then the stand started disappearing. The boat started disappearing, and then they escaped to Singapore. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen on this show and was 100% a jump the shark moment. But, oh, God. You know, so I haven't seen any comments on last episode. I'm recording this before the last episode has even gone up to Patreon, but I fear that the comments for last episode is going to be everyone saying, dude, just you wait until they actually jump the shark, or that's not jumping the shark, or something. Like, I fear that that's going to be the comments section, and I will have to see. You'll already have seen if it is or not, but I am afraid. I am definitely afraid. We'll have to see. Hopefully, we're just going to move on to our normal, weird JoJo stuff. What is normal on JoJo? This is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. This is also where I say that if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, what you gotta do is head down in the description or to the pinned comment, click on the link there, watch the reaction, hopefully you have a good time. When you're done with that, you can pop right back over here for the discussion. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go. God damn, we cannot take a break, can we? Just nothing. Just no break. We get no break. Holy crap, man. That's crazy. That was pretty crazy. Just going... I mean, hey, that's another stand user down, and I guess another stand user down that Jotaro didn't have to finish off, although I guess we've had Avdol defeat Polnareff, so... But still, I don't want Kakyoin to be evil. I like Kakyoin. I also don't fully believe that he is evil. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he has like another bug on him. Wouldn't that be hilarious? You gotta really check, man. You gotta really check. Of course, what's to say that Polnareff isn't still under the control? But I don't know. I hope Kakyoin's not actually, or I hope there's some sort of trickery, and Kakyoin will be alright. I hope. And man, Joseph was doing so well, actually, because, it's something I noticed is that, in episode 1, Joseph shows off his stand by destroying a camera, and he says, oh, well, the downside is I have to break a 30,000 yen camera every time I use this stand. But then, later on, we see Dio use that stand, use Joseph's power, and with that, he hits like a crystal ball, and it doesn't break at all, Like, he always, it's always just fine when he does it, so I was kind of thinking, what, can Joseph just not control himself? It's which, that honestly sounds like Joseph. That sounds like Joseph, that he needs to figure out how to control that better. But here we actually had him controlling his power. He wasn't destroying the TV. Then Dio broke the TV, And hey, this is kind of our first interaction between, another Joestar and Dio. Because we actually haven't had that. All we've had is the interaction between Jonathan and Dio in part 1. So now, this is the first time, Joseph has interacted with Dio. It was a very short interaction, but still. So I did like that. That was pretty cool. And it's also interesting, Dio called him Joestar specifically. He didn't call him Joseph, so it makes me wonder if he even knows Joseph's name, you know? I mean, I would assume he does. I assume that he knows as much as he learned as much as he could about Joseph and Jotaro, because they are his two biggest enemies from the Joestars, Because it's not like Holly's going to be a threat to him. So, yeah. We can go ahead and hop into the notes on this one. The first thing I wrote down is the girl and the hotel. Does the girl have a name, by the way? I don't know did they ever say her name? I don't know. I think they just keep calling her the girl. So, yeah, she's not, I don't know. She, like we've kind of joked around, she's kind of like Poco or Smokey. Like, here's our, young friend that the Joestar of this part will befriend, So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. But yeah, so she's sticking around because she's going to meet her father in 5 days. So she needs a place to crash in the meantime, so she's crashing with them, which is kind of funny. And it is, I don't know, it is kind of interesting too that it's like, okay, well, she kept, she got her own room because, she thought it would be weird having a room with Polnareff, which, yeah, maybe. The one thing I was thinking though, well, two things. The first thing I thought was, wouldn't it still make sense? Like, wouldn't it make sense to have Joseph and Jotaro have a room because they're family? It'd be a guy and his grandfather, but still. And then the other thing I actually thought is, wouldn't it also? I think it would kind of make sense if the girl was with Joseph. Mainly because, again, he is sort of the grandfather of the group, and I would assume, like, I was just kind of thinking, like, well, especially because last episode, when they were getting off the lifeboats and she jumped into Joseph's arms, like, I would just assume, because, obviously this isn't the Joseph Joestar this isn't the horny as hell Joseph Joestar from part 2, not that he would for a 14-year-old girl, Like, this is, our mature, grown-up, grandpa Joseph Joestar, So, it is, again, like how we joked in part 2, where it's like, well, I guess the Joestars have just adopted Smokey. Like, honestly, yeah, like, it would be kind of funny if it was just like, yeah, Joseph has basically just adopted a new granddaughter. So that's kind of what I was thinking, but it makes the most sense to kind of give her own room. So yeah. And it also made sense for, like, Joseph and Avdol will have a room, and then Jotaro and Kakyoin will have their own room because they're students, so it would make the most sense, So I did understand that. Anyway, so yeah. And then just immediately, the devil, here we go, new stand user. I like that that's just sort of happened, by the way. Like, that wasn't... Again, it's sort of kind of like with last episode where it's like, oh, yeah, when I was ranting about jumping the shark and stuff, it's like, well, the show can easily recover from this because that's it. We're done with that stand. We're done with strength, Now we're done with the devil. Which, I don't know how I feel about that, where it's like, you kind of all the stand users, the enemy stand users we're encountering, really are leaving no impact on the show whatsoever, other than Kakyoin, Kakyoin and Polnareff, who became allies, and also Kakyoin, who may be a traitor, So, so that's the thing. Like, that's the thing is that none of them are really leaving an impact other than, taking out, like, modes of transportation. Like, Tower of Grey took out the plane, and then Deep Blue Moon took out the boat, and then they had to get back on the lifeboats after strength, and then now the devil really, like, really has nothing to do with anything. Like, oh, well, there goes the hotel, except not, because now that we've defeated that stand user, the hotel's fine. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it is one of those things where it's like, okay, none of these stand, like, okay, because I'm also thinking, like, because this is kind of similar to part 1, where it's like, okay, so we have our lead who's going after Dio, but first we have to stop some minions along the way. We have to stop Jack the Ripper, Bluford, and was it Bluford or was it Bruford? I always get that confused. And Tarukas, and then we also have Doobie. Like, I remember all of them. It's like, okay, here's all the guys that you have to fight before you can get to Dio. And I feel like that is... I feel like part 3 is kind of taking that formula again, where it's like, oh, well, we have to fight all the stand users before we get to Dio. Problem is, this part is like 49 episodes long, so gonna be a good while before we get to Dio. But it is sort of the same thing, but I feel like this is having no impact on anything. Like, these stand users have no impact on the story whatsoever. And I guess it makes sense because of how long this part is that would happen, but I don't know. It feels kind of odd to me. It does honestly feel a little odd, where it's like, there's a stand user, gone. Next thing, another stand user, here we go. Like, I don't know. It is kind of weird. Whereas, like, Jack the Ripper was Jonathan, pretty much mastering Hamon and stuff, or not mastering, but that's when he really got good at Hamon and stuff. Or with Bluford, it was, Jonathan obtaining the sword, and that was really impactful, actually, when he was defeated. Or Tarukas was Zeppeli's death. The only one where it's like, okay, it doesn't matter, this affects nothing, was, like, Doobie. Like, he was just there. Even Jonathan was just like, I don't have time for this. I gotta go fight Dio, So, that's the thing. Like, but all of these stand users are starting to feel like Doobie. They're all feeling like Doobie, where it's like, okay, that had no impact on the plot. Next. Except there's like a million of them, Like, we got Tower of Grey, who really didn't impact the plot at all, other than, at least with him, it was like, okay, well, that's how we learned that we need to find some other way to get to Egypt. Where everyone else, like, and again, Kakyoin and Polnareff, they became allies at least, but someone like Strength, like, done, next. And then now the Devil, done, next. Like, we don't even care. Like, the Devil leaves no impact on this show at all. Like, now we're just immediately moving on into whatever this new traitor story is with Kakyoin. So, I don't know. That said, it was still pretty interesting. I like, kind of showing off Polnareff a bit more. I still want to see... I still want them to show off Joseph, That's the thing. And I know we had an entire part 2. We had all of Battle Tendency to show off Joseph, but I want Joseph to do something a bit more, And maybe that's just because I love Joseph so much, and I'm so used to Joseph. But we've had a lot. We've had a decent amount with Jotaro and Star Platinum, and that's great. We had a bit with. We had some with Kakyoin in his initial battle with JoJo, and also him taking out Tower of Grey. Avdol, we had him at the beginning when he fought Star Platinum, and then he and Magician's Red fought Polnareff. Polnareff, we only really had when he fought Avdol, so having him, have another fight here was pretty good, where he's actually the hero in this situation. So I like that. Again, though, I want Joseph to fight. I want my good old boy Joseph Joestar. He's not a good boy, but he's our bastard, I want him to fight again, especially because they always show, like, in the intro, like, he uses, like, the thorns that come out of him for what does he say, Hermit Purple. Like, in the intro they show him, like, whipping around and stuff like that. It's like, I kind of want to see that, So, yeah. The backstory on the devil or soul sacrifice, that he was a shaman that is also an assassin. That's kind of cool. They don't really go into that. They don't really deal with that too much. I do like how they say, like, when Polnareff sends Silver Chariot up, he can't see. Silver Chariot cannot see, despite the fact that he has eyes. He can't see because Polnareff can't see. That is a very good thing to have, a good way of showing, I guess, just another mechanic, basically, another aspect of stands, So that's pretty cool. You can't just, sit back and, blindfolded and have your stand just go do what it needs to do. Even though, yes, the stands do sort of have a mind of their own, it doesn't fully work out that way, basically. We had the doll, which was pretty interesting. The doll being the stand, which was kind of interesting. And then the mirror was also pretty cool, how Polnareff defeated him. But yeah, and again, just another, like, here's a fight. It was cool, I liked it, but still, it's like, that was a fight. Moving on. Like, alright. I do like that they put in that Polnareff was actually arrested. And okay, they said, like, oh, why was there a little boy's dead body in your room? And it's like, wait, do you mean the stand? Like, how does that work? I don't know. Like, they just assume, like, I thought they wouldn't be able to see a stand. I don't know. That's kind of weird. So, yeah. I think Darby actually wants to come in. There's really not much else, so I'll finish this up real quick. So, the arrest was kind of interesting, and I like they say, it's like, oh, the Speedwagon Foundation struck a deal. Basically, like, they don't even, like, go into details, like, what the deal is. Like, oh, he's just out. Like, we're good. Like, all right. And then, yeah, Kakyoin could be a traitor. I don't know. We'll have to see about that. But, yeah, that is basically it. Good episode. Still enjoyed it, but I don't know. I guess I want more. I want more. Which, hey, leave them wanting more. Isn't that what they always say is a good thing? Yeah. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, you can click on the playlist. You can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media. Links below in the description. See you guys later.